Hi and welcome to Stretching while learning something about muscle atrophy and bears. We're always going to do one stretching exercise, and when there's a break from the exercises, I'm going to read from here something about muscle atrophy and bears, and when to not just memorize it in the short-term memory, but in the intermediate memory or in the long-term memory, we're going to do then an exercise. So we're always changing back and forth between an exercise and learning something. And this is intentionally set up in a way that we all can't read it, so that we have to memorize it. And the last thing, participating in the exercises is at your own risk. Let's start with the first exercise. We're having the legs staying wide apart. We are breathing in. And we're breathing out again. And we're breathing in. And out. And again, breathe in. And out. Again, in. And out. Let's do another round. We're breathing in. And out. And in. And out. Breathe in. Close the legs. And we have done the opening exercise. So we breathe always in through the nose, deep into the chest, and out through the mouth. So breathe always in deep into the chest through the nose and out through the mouth. Now to the first thing of muscle atrophy and bears. Inactivity and not eating leads by mammals to muscle atrophy. So inactivity, so not moving, and not to eat or eating bad food, leads to muscle atrophy. A bit more explanation here. By mammals. Mammals are animals who feed their kids with milk, and muscle atrophy is a loss of muscle mass. Due to inactivity or diseases, the muscle of mass can decrease. If a muscle loses mass, that is called muscle atrophy. So if a muscle is not used, it loses in mass, it gets smaller. And that is called muscle atrophy. Or through other causes, it can also be through disease or something. So the loss of muscle mass, it's not just the size, but also what is in the muscle can decrease, and that is called muscle atrophy. So mammals, all animals, including humans, who feed their kids with milk, have muscle atrophy if they don't move or something. The muscle loses that mass. The next exercise. We're having our legs standing a bit more than shoulder width wide apart. We're breathing in and lifting our arms up. And out, and we're going to the side. And breathe in and open the rib cage. So breathe slowly in. And again out. And breathe again in. And out, back into the middle. And breathe again in. And out, now we're going to the other side. And breathe in and out the rib cage. And again out. And again in. And out, back into the middle. And we're done with the next exercise. So muscle atrophy is the loss of muscle mass. And mammals are animals which are feeding their kids with milk. And inactivity leads by mammals to muscle atrophy. If humans rest longer, the muscles lose that mass. The Golden-Mantled ground squirrel or brown bats have, like humans, loss of muscle mass, which is called muscle atrophy. So not just humans, but all animals, or most animals, not all animals. Bears are the exception. One exception. So humans or the Golden-Mantled, the ground squirrel, or brown bats also lose muscle mass, like humans. Bears are doing hibernation for 4 to 7 months. In this hibernation period of 4 to 7 months, bears are mostly inactive and are not moving, but their muscles don't lose mass, even though the bears are mammals. Bears are mammals. Bears are feeding their kids with milk. And they are hibernating. They are more or less resting for half a year, 4 to 7 months. But even though they are resting for half a year, they don't lose muscle mass. Next exercise. We're having the legs standing a bit more than shoulder width wide apart. We are breathing in. And we're breathing out, and one hand slides down the leg, and the other shoulder stays down. And breathe in. And out, and we're taking the arm over. And breathe in and out the rib cage. And out. And again in. And out, back into the middle. And breathe in again. And out, one hand slides down the leg and the other shoulder stays down. And breathe in. and out, and we're taking the arm over. And breathe in. Mirror catch. And again out. And again in. And out back into the middle. So, humans, golden-mantled ground squirrels or brown bats are losing muscle mass if they rest. Bears are not losing muscle mass even though they are resting, they are hibernating for 4 to 7 months. During hibernation, bears are undergoing physiological, morphological and behavioral changes. Physiology is about the function of the body, morphology is about the form of the body, and behavior is the way the bear is doing its activities. The bear could have the behavior of running around, drinking, sleeping or climbing a tree. So physiology is how the whole body parts are functioning, how the heart functions, the lung functions, or the muscles functions. Morphology is more the form of the body aspects of the muscles, of the heart, of the lungs, and behavior is the way something is done. And the bear changes during hibernation how it does all these things. In the summer months, the bears eat a lot and accumulate muscle protein. So in the summer, bears are eating a lot and they accumulate muscle protein. Next exercise, we're having the feet standing together. We're breathing in and lifting our arms up. And we're breathing out and one hand comes down. And now breathe in and reach to both ends. So breathe in and reach. And out. And again in. And out and one hand comes down. And breathe in and reach. And out. Again in. And out one hand comes down. And breathe in and reach. And out. And again in. And out. And breathe in and reach. And out. So, bears are undergoing during the half-year hibernation physiological changes. Physiology is how the body functions, the body parts functions. Morphologically differences, how the body parts have a form, and behavior changes, so how they move. Or if they move, not really, because they're sleeping most of the time during hibernation. And in the summer, they're eating a lot and they accumulate muscle protein. During the hibernation period, the usage of the proteins is reduced. So during the hibernation, they don't use that much proteins, which they have accumulated in the summer during much eating. So the usage of them is reduced. Bears have something called proteolytic inhibitors. This proteolytic inhibitor is something in the body of bears suppressing the muscle loss of muscle atrophy. So bears have proteolytic inhibitors. A bear has a Bears have proteolytic inhibitors and they are suppressing the decrease of muscle mass. From time to time, bears are doing during the months of hibernation voluntary contractions of the muscles. On top of that, they have some involuntary contractions of the muscles through shivering. For these contractions, the muscles are not completely inactive, so that muscle atrophy does not happen. But again, after the next exercise, we're having the legs standing wide apart. We are breathing in. And we're breathing out and we're just hanging down, and we're only helping you come deeper down by breathing deep in through the nose into the chest. So breathe deep in through the nose into the chest. And by breathing slowly out through the mouth. So breathe slowly out through the mouth. And breathe in again. And out. And again in. And out. And again in. And out, we're changing to one leg. And breathe in. And out. And again in. And out over to the other leg. And again in. And out. And breathe in. And out back into the middle. Breathe in. And come slowly up and round back and back at the top, backwards shoulder. So they are not completely inactive. They have voluntarily muscle contractions They was written about 3 to 4 times a day, and they have some involuntary shivering. So the muscles are not completely inactive. Not all bears are living in the middle latitudes with the 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn and winter. The sun bear lives in Southeast Asia, which is in the tropics, and it does not hibernate. So not all bears hibernate. And for example, the sun bear, it lives in Southeast Asia. It is here. So here's Asia, here's Australia, and so here's Asia, and in the southeast of Asia, there's Southeast Asia. Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, and so on. The next exercise. So not all bears. The sun bear in the tropics does, for example, not hibernate. We are having the legs standing together. We are breathing in, and out, and we're hanging again down. And breathing in, and out, and again in, and out, and again in, and out, and breathe in, and out. We're coming again slowly up and around back, and I'm making it top and backwards, shoulder up. A bit more to these climate zones, because not all bears are living in the middle latitudes. So there are the climate zones of Arctic with polar day and polar night. So there are no seasons in the Arctic on top of the planet. There's no really on top, but at the north of the planet. North of Canada, Greenland, and north of Russia are there, and there are now not 4 seasons. And when the northern middle latitudes, there is spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And that is, for example, in the USA, northern part of Mexico, Europe, Russia, and China and Japan. So this region here around the globe. Then the tropics with the wet season and dry season. There are also not 4 seasons. There's the wet season and the dry season. These are, for example, Colombia, Brazil, Angola, Sudan, southern India, Indonesia, and the Philippines. So there lives the sun bear. And then the southern latitudes, there are spring, summer, autumn, and winter. That is in Argentina, Uruguay, southern Africa, southern Australia, and New Zealand. So the northern middle latitudes are here with Europe and North America. And the southern middle latitudes are with South America, Africa, and Australia. So there's 2 times on Earth 4 seasons. In the middle, in the tropics, not. There's wet and dry season. And then the Antarctica with polar day and polar night. There is no country. And at the bottom, there's the Antarctica. And that is also what was written here. The next exercise, the garland pose. We're having the toes pointing to the outside, around an unlimited space between our heels. We're breathing in and lifting our arms up. And we're breathing out and we're going down. And we're placing the elbows against the inside of the knees, and we're breathing in and straighten up the back. And we're breathing out and coming with the back up. And breathing in. And out back into the garland pose. And breathe in and straighten up the back. And out and come again for the back up. And breathe in. And out back into the garland pose. Breathe in and try and pretend to come up against the wall. Back. And out. Now we're going to breathe in, and when we breathe out, we're coming up in one slowly straight line. So breathe in. And out, and we're coming slowly up in one straight line. To the last exercise, the seahorse pose. We're having a standing leg, and we're placing the heel of a mobile leg on top of the knee of a standing leg. We're doing this only if we can do it without injuring our knee. We're breathing in. And out, and we're going down. So, during the summer, the bear eats a lot, and it accumulates muscle protein. And they have also proteolytic inhibitors. They are suppressing the loss of muscle mass. Mammals, which are all animals which are feeding their kids with milk, have usually muscle atrophy, which is the loss of muscle mass. Not with the other leg, we're changing, same roots. And we have muscle atrophy. Muscle atrophy is the loss of muscle mass. But bears, for example, not, even though they are resting for half a year during hibernation. The sun bear does not hibernate, it lives in Southeast Asia. There are different climate zones on Earth. There's the polar, the northern middle latitudes, the tropics, the southern middle latitudes, and the other polars, the Antarctica zone. And we're breathing in. No closing exercise. And out. And bears have, from time to time, some voluntary muscle contractions, involuntarily shivering, so the muscles are not resting completely. And for all these things, bears don't have muscle atrophy. even though they're hibernating for half a year. This has been, I thank you very much, and until the next time.